Welcome back again, everyone. I'm Lynn Doyle. This is It's Your Call, and my special guest this hour is Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell. As you know, his term is completed now, and he's looking ahead, as all of us are, at 2011. We're talking about some of his accomplishments as governor, and also some of the areas where perhaps things did not go as well as you had hoped. Is there an area that I wouldn't characterize it as a failure, but as a disappointment?
Yeah, well, for example, take energy. We've done great things in energy. We have the second best conservation statute, which requires the utilities to begin conserving energy. We've got to conserve because we'll never meet demand by production. We've got to start conserving, and conserving is great for the environment as well. We've done very, very well. We passed an Advanced Energy Portfolio Standards bill in 2005. We've created the third highest number of green energy jobs of any state in the union. But I wanted the legislature to amend the Advanced Energy Portfolio Standards law to raise the standards, the mandates for solar and wind and geothermal and hydro. And the legislature turned it down. And what's happened is surrounding states, once we passed our 2005 law, they've passed laws that have started to set higher standards, and the renewable companies look for states that have the higher mandates. So we're going to lose out on a lot of the new jobs. Okay,
so the question has to be posed, why wouldn't the legislature support something like that, particularly if competing states around us are doing it and taking the jobs that could be coming here?
Well, the basic reason is because the coal industry didn't want the standards for wind and solar, for example, raised, because they wanted electricity to still come exclusively from coal. But the coal industry is making a mistake. I've been a good supporter of theirs. Clean coal has to be the wave of the future. Eventually, you saw in Texas, the state of Texas stopped traditional coal-burning plants. So in this bill, there was incentives for clean coal technology, but the coal companies want to keep the status quo.
Okay, so this begs the question as well about lobbyists and industries where lobbyists play such a huge role that they keep things from happening.
Exactly right.
Or at least it seems like that to regular citizens.
The most important thing we could do in Washington and in Harrisburg, or Trenton for the same reason, is lobbyists can lobby, but they cannot be allowed to raise money or contribute money to any elected official's campaign.
That would be an overhaul.
That would be a tremendous overhaul. I said once when we were battling for education funding, I said the only people who don't have lobbyists in this building are the school children of Pennsylvania, and darn it, I was going to be their lobbyist.
That's probably why you feel like you've had so much success in public education. I have to ask about clean coal, because a lot of people who are watching around the country here might think that that's an oxymoron. That's exactly the word I wrote down.
It isn't. First of all, we've made great progress, even in traditional coal-burning plants. By enhanced scrubbing, etc., we've cut emissions dramatically. So we have cleaner coal today in Pennsylvania. I won't say it's clean coal, but it's cleaner coal.
Okay.
But if we can find a way, in the coal process, what's dirty about it is it produces carbon. If we can find a way to capture carbon and successfully sequester it, meaning finding some place to put the carbon once we capture it, if we can do that, then America will have energy independence, Lynn, for the next 2 centuries, because we are the Saudi Arabia of coal. And what Washington ought to be doing is putting a lot of money into sequestration and capture technology.
See, all of that, the average person hears that and they go shh, like this, and it doesn't sound sexy. If you want to do a campaign to try to educate the consumers about the need for cleaner coal, that would work.
Here's what's sexy. What's sexy is, instead of importing our energy from places that literally are trying to kill our troops, instead of importing energy from that, if we can find a way to do capture and sequestration of coal, we can produce those jobs here and keep that money here in America. We can be energy independent. Every soldier who comes back from the Gulf says, we shouldn't be fighting over there, and we fight over there predominantly because of the oil. We need energy independence.
Yeah, those two words should always be together, energy independence.
American energy.
American energy. Okay, we asked you before the break if you wanted to get involved or to have a question for the governor, that you could find us on Facebook, and we did pose the questions, so I'm going to just read them. These are as new to me as they are to you, okay?
I'm used to anything.
This one from Kevin. Kevin asked, does Governor Rendell take personal responsibility for the looming pension crisis that will most likely bankrupt our Commonwealth?
No, in fact, this was a 2000 piece of legislation that created these pension benefits, and I am legally barred from changing pension benefits once they've been given. You can change them prospectively, but you can't change them retroactively. It was Governor Ridge and the legislature who did it. There was no public outcry. Interestingly, pay raise, there was a huge public outcry. The reason, Lynn, was because the way the pension benefits came in, it went like this. And unfortunately, we're now. And so there was no public outcry. But that's what happened. We can't change them going back. But what we did do this year, and I made sure that the legislature did it before we left Harrisburg, was we changed those benefits and reduced the level of benefits going forward. So to all new employees, and we have about 5,000 new employees a year come on, to all new employees, they're coming in at a much lower pension standard, which is a help. But the crisis was created way back in 2000.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Kevin. We have another one from Facebook. Let's find out what John wants to know. While we are most gracious for his rally and founding of film tax incentives under his term, what plans does he have to continue his support for the film industry in Pennsylvania post office?
Well, I'm going to continue to be an advocate for our film industry. It's been a great creator of jobs, investment, and every time there's a film in Pittsburgh or Philadelphia or the Philly suburbs or Lancaster County, it promotes the city. I remember the amazing thing when I was mayor, the movie Philadelphia was made. Within the year after Philadelphia was released in Europe, European travel agents reported a tenfold increase in requests from Europeans for information about Philadelphia as the location to visit. So not only does it create the jobs on the scene itself, but it's a wonderful thing for the city and the state. And I will tell you, the tax credit doesn't cost us any money, because without the tax credit, the film companies aren't coming. And the tax credit only is a portion of the money they spend in Pennsylvania. So if it's a 50% tax credit, they're spending 50% more than they would have, because they never would have been here in the first place.
That I understood. Okay, if you have a question or a comment, remember you can email me directly at lynn@lynndoyle.net. If we don't get it on the air, we will forward those questions to the governor's office, and I'm sure that he'll take care of it.
Sure.
Any question that you've been asked when you've been in public office that you wish you had answered differently?
It's an interesting, first time anybody's asked me that question. Any question I've asked? Oh, there are a few where I've lashed out at the legislature and probably shouldn't have, because look, as I said when we were talking about President Obama, the chief executive has the responsibility to make it work. Every once in a while you've got to, bang the opposition, but most often you should try to be as reasonable as you can in responding to it. And, I once said that if I announced I had a cure for cancer and it would take $500,000, the legislature would have to appropriate for it. We'd have to raise a tax for $500,000. I said 2/3 of the people would be too scared to raise tax to even cure cancer. And that was probably a little unfair.
Okay, on that note, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk sports a little bit. Maybe you've noticed that the governor has a passion for a particular team. We're going to find out about that and what he might be doing in the future that would be tied in with that. If you want to know, you have to stick around to It's Your Call.